5 questions you should be able to answer about your new business startup before you actually get started. I want you to think about these questions and think about the answers, obviously. And if you have any questions about them, please join the community, get a community marketing profile, complimentary, and then send SmallBizDavid a message, and I will answer your questions that way. 5 questions you should be able to answer. What do you want to achieve? Oh, by the way, this is from an article written by Marc Peskett, P-E-S-K-E-T-T. It was written yesterday, and Marc is a regular blogger at StartUpSmart, StartUpSmart.com. I've quoted Marc before because he does really write good stuff. And we need to make a note here. Okay, question number 1, Marc asked, and you know what, I've probably asked all these questions. You've heard them in the last couple of weeks. I just wanted to take somebody else's perspective and see the kinds of questions they might ask. Question number 1, Marc asks, is what do you want to achieve? If you don't know where you are going, you'll probably end up somewhere else. Having a clearly defined vision and goals for your business is the antidote to that. Not only do you ask yourself the question, how do I want that business to look 100 days from now? That's a place to start. How do I want it to look a year from now? 2 years? 5 years? 10 years? It can change. There's no question it can change, and it's going to change. Not it can, it will change. And we don't know that yet because we don't know all these circumstances and variables that drive change. But just so you can think about it, how do you want things to look in the future, beyond today and the next 100 days? Okay, what do you want to achieve? Get specific by breaking it down into shorter, smaller, short-term goals that are measurable and manageable. Remember I talked to you about SMART goals. Go back a couple of YouTubes and find out what SMART goals are. I think I did that last week. Your goals must be SMART, and SMART's an acronym. The S, the M, the A, the R, the T stand for 5 different things. Number 2, what do your customers really think of you? And to that question, not just customers, I would add to that, what do your prospects really think of you? But before you know what they really think of you, there's a bigger issue to deal with, and that is who are your customers? How do you define a customer? If you had to draw what a perfect customer would look like, what would that be? Male, female, doesn't matter. Age. Age would imply how much money they have to spend. What is it that you're going to do, and what would be your ideal customer? And that's an important question to ask also, because when we're starting a business, we often make the big mistake that we'll take anybody on as a customer. And that's a wrong approach to take. You do it so you can get money going and start to get some return on your investment. That's understandable. But what happens is you will potentially fall into a rut. And you want to make sure that when you get a customer, they're going to be a profitable customer for you. This is harder to measure in the service industry as opposed to if you're selling T-shirts. If you're selling T-shirts, It's a different mindset than if you're selling a service that somebody needs, wants, and uses. So, who is your ideal customer? What do they think of you? The easiest way to find out what they think of you is to ask them, even as you're getting into business. My friend, if I did this, would that be meaningful to you? So, question number 2, what do your customers really think of you? Question number 3, who is your real competition? Now remember, let's see what Mark has to say, because you know what I have to say, and I'll reinforce what I have to say when we see what he does. It is often the direct competitors that business owners compare themselves to and monitor, while failing to consider the indirect competitors or dollar substitution options that your customers might choose over you. Well, that's a little different approach already. For example, if you're a gym operator, your direct competitors are obviously other gyms, fitness centers, and even the local YMCA. Yay! I am a YMCA volunteer cardiac trainer, cardiovascular trainer. But if you think about the objective of your customers, you'll find you have a multitude of indirect competitors you're contending with at the same time. Now, herein, as Mark is saying, lies the challenge with thinking too much about your customers. You think too much about them. You spend too much time finding out who they are. It doesn't really matter who they are. And for that matter, there's not a great deal of importance in what they do. It's more important for you to think about what you do, not what they do, what you do, so that your focus is on what you do. What value can you bring, not what value do your competitors bring. I have had a way that I operate for the last 40 years. I will never talk about the competition unless I'm forced to with whomever I'm speaking. The competition does what they want to do. I do what I want to do. So I'll say I don't know. I honestly do not study competition. And you know what? If we took that attitude that we had to really study the competition, you know how much time you would be on the internet doing research? You would never have the time to actually get started. So it doesn't matter who the competition is, and a lot of people will argue with me about this, and that's okay. It's a position that I have taken in my life, and it's worked very well for me. And you know what my standard answer is, who my competition is? My greatest competition is myself, because I'm the one who creates the limitations for what it is that I can do. So my greatest competitor is me. What I call, if I'm trying to build a community, not if, I'm trying to build I am building a community. I am building it. Is Facebook a competitor of mine? Well, in the sense that if you're spending time in the Facebook community, that's time that you're not spending in David's Barter. You make that decision. You control that. I can't control that. I have to make sure that when you come to David's Barter, there's a reason to spend time there, and there's a reason for you to come back and spend more time there. That's my challenge in developing a community. Can Facebook and David's Barter work together? Of course they can. Of course they can. You know what? You know how they can work together best? You start your business today, create a landing page. We have a share button for you, and you share your landing page with your Facebook friends and family. When you start a business, the ones you're going to talk to first are those your friends and family. We have made it easy for you to create your landing page and send it to them. You can come off. You can come off on. You can go online, come off online, and call them up. Even send them your landing page, and then go on to Facebook and create the discussion. Did you see my landing page? Did you get it? Do you have any questions? What do you want to buy? We can be working together, and don't spend a lot of time, energy, and resources trying to figure out who your competition is. Question number 4, Mark asks, how will you achieve your growth targets? Where will your business come from, and what do you need to obtain it? Many business owners set growth targets, but don't analyze their activities and understand what additional steps they need to put in place to work out how they're going to achieve that growth. That's planning, that's strategy, that's creating the plan, writing it down, working the plan, and then holding yourself accountable for those things in the plan. Maybe you set up too ambitious growth targets, and if you did, change it. What difference does it make? Change it. If your growth targets were too aggressive, we've got that tendency that when we start a business to put these great big targets out there and then get frustrated when we don't meet that target. Maybe that target was unrealistic. And you don't know that it's unrealistic until you get in and you do it and you try it. You get started. So not only do you establish growth targets, you have to create the parameters on how you're going to get to those growth targets. You're also going to have to create some type of analytics that will say, okay, here's where I said I was going to be in 100 days, and I'm not there. Why am I not at that goal in 100 days? You better be able to come up with an answer to that question, or change the goal, tweak the goal, or delete it, get rid of it entirely, and create a new goal. It's pretty logical how that works. Figure out how many new customers you need, and keeping in mind not just how many customers you need, how many profitable, beyond standard margins customers do you need to create. Be realistic in projecting that number. Question number 5, Mark's asked, and the last question. What are the important financial metrics of your business, and how are you performing against them? We just alluded to that. I've said it above, but it's important. It warrants its own emphasis. Measure and track how you are going against your goals. And you know what? Take accountability if you're not achieving those goals. All too often, we want to say it's their fault, it's somebody else's fault. Ultimately, you must take accountability for those goals, because you're responsible for achieving those goals. Also, you're responsible for not achieving those goals. Profit margin, cash flow, return on investment. He says there are other important activities to monitor. How many times this week have I talked about profit margin, cash flow, and or return on investment? I actually say return on investment resource, because there are different things that we need to show return on investment. You heard me say a little earlier, if you're on Facebook 3 hours a day, is that a realistic number for you to be? What return do you get for being on Facebook 3 hours a day? That'll be able to answer that question. Okay, that ends Marc Peskett's 5-question test from StartupSmart.com. By the way, StartupSmart.com, I read it every day. I read it every day because I get good information. And interestingly enough, it's an Australian website, Australian in that the mindset of the developer of the website and the Marc Pesketts who contribute blogs to the website is Australian. And so it's kind of interesting for me sometimes to see things, how things are done in Australia versus how we might be doing them here. I'm going to take a brief break. When we come back, we're going to discuss development of your social marketing, social network technology platform. And also that will segue into a discussion on how to choose keywords for your website, and something new that Google has been giving away and they're going to start charging for in a week or two, and that's product listing ads. Check back in a couple minutes. While I'm gone, why don't you take the time and register as a member of davidsbarter.com community. davidsbarter.com, red box on the right-hand side. 4 questions, 4 fields of information. It'll take you 20 seconds to sign up. Then make sure that you create a community marketing profile, no expense. It will tell you, it will tell others about you, who you are. Make sure that in the 6 fields of information that are asked, you use lots of small business keywords. That's how people are going to find you in your community, in our community, by the use of keywords. And then start the process for getting a landing page, a highly optimized, highly Googleized landing page. We will be back in a moment.